Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Hercules in the sewer. Archaeologists in Italy unexpectedly received a fantastic gift. Construction workers found a mysterious statue of Hercules hiding in an old Roman sewer. They were repairing the sewer underneath the streets of Rome when they came across a marble sculpture of a man dressed an awful lot like Hercules. He was identified by his lion skin headdress, a trophy Hercules received after defeating the Nemean lion from Greek mythology. The marble sculpture is life-sized, but nobody can say for sure what it was doing underground in the sewer. Jane Draycott from the University of Glasgow said she doubts anyone was expecting to find anything like it under such circumstances. But it gets even better. The statue of Hercules was discovered along the famous Appian Way. That was Rome's greatest highway, a historical road that's currently buried underneath the modern Scott Park. Construction workers were trying to address the sewer lines because they were collapsing, creating sinkholes in the park. But then they found Hercules, and all construction work was halted. He appears to have been intentionally buried in the sewage tunnel about 100 years ago. Somebody dragged the marble sculpture 65 feet underneath street level and then buried it there for unknown reasons. The whole thing is a huge mystery. We don't know how old the sculpture is either, or where it originally stood. But considering its proximity to the Appian Way, it may have been a statue on the road leading into Rome. This could have been one of the beautiful sculptures seen by visitors as they entered the famous city. Number 9. Rare Viking grave. A rare and exciting discovery was recently made in Oslo, the modern capital of Norway. Archaeologists found a Viking grave at the edge of the city near Lake Holmendamen. During the Viking Age, between 793 and 1066 AD, this part of Oslo was a settlement. But the community was erased by the new city of Oslo as the Viking Age ended and the medieval era began. The city grew quickly, and the ancient settlements of the Vikings were covered under miles of road. Most of the site's history is now buried under modern homes and businesses. For that reason, the discovery of an entire grave is exceptional. Archaeologist Marianne Buge-Kramer says up until now, only 58 burials have been found in the city, most of which date back to the 1800s. The last great discovery came in the 1930s, when a Viking sword was found 3 feet underneath Oslo's City Hall. And you might be wondering, what exactly have archaeologists found buried under the city? So far, they've uncovered a brooch, a pair of knives, the blunt part of a shield, and equipment for horse riding. They also discovered the remains of a man who died around the year 850 AD. Out of all the burials that have now been found in Oslo, 55 of them belong to males and only 4 contain females. Archaeologists are a little baffled as to why they've uncovered so many more male graves than female graves. But they say it could have something to do with the fact that men were buried with large iron axes and swords. Apparently, those iron weapons are easier to find than the delicate bronze jewelry in most Viking women's graves. What would you prefer, to be buried with jewelry or with weapons? Let me know in the comments. Number 8. Subterranean Piping. The Sheikh Bahai Hammam in Iran is an ancient bathhouse steeped in legends and mysteries. According to the fables, the hot waters of the bath were warmed by a single candle that never went out. The bath itself was named after Sheikh Bahai, a scientist who lived about 400 years ago. He was a philosopher, an astronomer, and a skilled mathematician. He was also responsible for commissioning the place to be built in 1616. His design was supposedly so brilliant that nobody would ever need to reheat the water. It was believed that he made it so that just one candle was needed to heat the entire bathhouse. However, recent excavations have made this theory unlikely. Archaeologists found an underground ceramic piping system leading from the nearby mosque to the public toilets. This piping system was almost certainly responsible for heating the bathhouse as well, but it was still a fairly complicated operation. A torch was used to burn natural methane and sulfur oxide coming from the waste of the public toilet. Wastewater was then poured into a nearby marsh, and the gas was collected and pushed through a piping system, which resulted in heat for the baths. Pretty advanced, huh? Number 7. The Cave of the Beast. Archaeologists were exploring the dark and creepy underground caverns of Cueva del Arco in Spain when they found something unbelievable. They pushed through a small rocky hole in a place so cramped they could hardly move and slithered into a massive cavern. The explorers then stumbled upon a huge chamber that was left untouched for thousands of years, with a vaulted ceiling reaching nearly 65 feet high. Then, as the archaeologists slowly explored the vast cavern, one of their flashlights illuminated a spot on the rock wall. What Ignacio Martín Lerma found were claw marks left behind by ancient beasts. It was an extremely haunting thing to see so deep in the earth, far from the sun. The marks were discovered in a place where giant predators weren't likely to exist. The ancient scratches were apparently left behind by European cave bears 27,000 years ago. These things were absolute monsters, estimated to be around 2,200 pounds of pure fury. They were huge mammals and major predators who dominated southern Europe. But how in the world did they get into the cave system? Unfortunately, there isn't a clear answer, but researchers have been exploring Cueva del Arco for years. They found settlements from the Stone Age that dated back 7,000 years. They even found proof of early human habitation from 50,000 years ago. Now there appears to have been bears living down there at one point too, but nobody knows how or why. Number 6. The Hidden Chamber. Chavín de Huántar is nothing but a decrepit ruin today. The site can be found about 150 miles north of Lima, the modern capital of Peru, and it was once the heart of the powerful Chavín civilization. This was a culture that flourished in the Andes long before the rise of the Inca Empire. They built the city of Chavín de Huántar around 1200 BC, although people were already living in the area's foothills for much longer, since at least 3000 BC. When the mighty kingdom crumbled and the Inca took over Peru, the city fell into disrepair. Over the centuries, locals used stones from the city to build their own houses. They disassembled temples one piece at a time to construct small villages. People were living inside the ruins of Chavín de Huántar up until the 1940s. Recently, archaeologists found a secret here. They uncovered a narrow air duct leading to a previously unknown ritual chamber that was situated 24 feet beneath one of the city's temples. The hidden chamber could be older than every other building at the site. It's a truly shocking discovery that could change everything we know about the Chavín culture. Archaeologist John Rick told Peruvian reporters that he believes the chamber is at least 3,000 years old. It took a year for Rick to safely tunnel underneath the temple and squeeze himself into the chamber. But after doing so, the only thing he found in there was a heavy stone bowl decorated like an Andean condor. It resembled something straight out of an Indiana Jones movie, a single priceless relic that was uncovered after tunneling into a long-forgotten chamber. The bowl was almost certainly used in a secret ritual. The hidden chamber is also evidence that underneath the ancient city of Chavín de Huántar is an even older settlement, one that's still waiting to be revealed. And now for number 5. But first, it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to Rex Adair and Ethan Spradlin for supporting this channel. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and join the family. Number 5. The New Grange Tomb. A group of farmers living in Ireland got together and built one of the greatest monuments of the Stone Age 5,200 years ago, constructing what we now call the New Grange Tomb. It's a mound over 270 feet in diameter and rises 43 feet into the air. It also covers an area of roughly 1 acre. There's only one way into the mound, a passage leading underneath the dirt into an underground chamber with 3 large alcoves. It's important to note that the passage lines up directly with the sun as it rises on the winter solstice, filling the tomb with incredible golden light. The stones along the front of the tomb are also decorated with extremely early megalithic art, like a giant mural. Inside the 3 alcoves is absolutely nothing. While archaeologists call it a tomb, the truth is that they don't know what it was used for. Since it was built in 3200 BC, it's older than both the Great Pyramids of Giza and Stonehenge. It could have been used in ceremonies, for astrological rituals, or as a place of community worship. 3 important citizens of the farming community were probably buried here, but unfortunately, we don't know anything about them. Number 4. The Cave of the Sybil. The Cave of the Sybil was discovered underneath the ancient city of Cumae on the outskirts of Naples in Italy. It's believed the cave had some association with the ancient priestess known as the Cumaean Sybil, who presided over the oracle of Apollo. If legend is to be believed, the oracle sat in her dark cavern beneath a temple and was given prophecies from the gods. Every time the gods would give her a prediction, she would write it down on some leaves and would then display them at the entrance of her underground lair. It's impossible to say how much of the legend is true, but there was definitely some strange stuff that occurred in the cave. The Sybil was supposedly a mortal woman who was given longevity by Apollo in exchange for her love. But then, when the god's love became too much, she refused him and eventually withered away. The Sybil's cave was found in 1932 by the Italian archaeologist Amedeo Maiuri, the very same man who was involved with the first investigations of Pompeii. Archaeologists believe it was constructed 2,500 years ago by the Greeks, but nothing of importance has been found inside. After thousands of years, any artifacts the oracle left behind were pillaged by civilizations who came later. Number 3. Underground Roman Aqueduct. Archaeologists in Italy discovered a new underground branch of an ancient aqueduct. It was built about 500 years after the Cave of the Sybil in a location nearby. The aqueduct, known as the Aqua Augusta, stretched a whopping 87 miles to carry water to the luxury villas up on the hill of Posillipo. These were extraordinarily wealthy Roman elite who lived during the transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire. They had their very own aqueduct, which was built around 30 BC, and it delivered their own personal supply of fresh water. The discovery of the aqueduct was made by Graziano Ferrari and his associates with the Coccius Association. The team found a preserved section buried beneath a hill. For years, locals thought it was an ancient tunnel. Children used to play in it, but nobody ever realized it was once used to bring privileged Romans their drinking and bathing water. Number 2. The Maya Cave of Horror. Actum Tunicil Muknal directly translates to Cave of the Crystal Sepulchre, and it was truly a Maya cave of horror. According to archaeologists, it was used in ancient ceremonies by a group of Maya living in the jungles of Belize. In Maya mythology, the universe was divided into 3 major realms. Like so many other ancient myths of the world, there was the sky, the earth, and the underworld. However, the Maya believed they could reach the underworld through portals underground. These gateways could be found in the dark caves and tunnels stretching underneath the Maya Empire. One such access point to the land of the dead was Actum Tunicil Muknal. This subterranean system goes on for roughly 3 miles and contains huge chambers over 70 feet tall. There are also streams within the tunnels, along with evidence of ancient Maya activity. Archaeologists found artifacts here from as far back as 250 AD. The earliest artifacts discovered were offerings of cobs of maize, likely deposited alongside human sacrifices deep inside the cave system. Archaeologists say these sacrifices were typically made after a large regional drought. When rain stopped falling and crops started to suffer, people were sacrificed to the gods in order to appease them. They did this because, in order for rain to fall, these ancient people believed they needed to make the gods happy. But here's what a lot of people don't realize. The Maya weren't always involved in human sacrifice. This wasn't something they practiced throughout their entire existence as a civilization. It wasn't until around 750 AD, when the Great Drought started to destroy their society, that they took up the brutal tradition of making sacrifices to the gods. Between 750 and 900 AD, the same years when large Maya cities started to be abandoned, a desperate few began slaughtering huge amounts of citizens. It was all in an effort to save their people, an effort that ultimately failed. Number 1. The door to Assyria. For 2,600 years, a doorway remained sealed in the ancient city of Nimrud, located in modern Iraq. The door was recently discovered during excavations at the lost palace of the Assyrian king Adad-nirari III, who ruled the Assyrian Empire between 811 and 783 BC. It was a shocking discovery because archaeologists were digging around for the first time since ISIS started blowing up monuments in the area a decade ago. The palace was first excavated by British archaeologist Austen Henry Layard in the 1840s. All kinds of slabs and pieces of artwork have since been discovered here, but the region became too dangerous for researchers to work due to the rise of ISIS. Only recently were scientists able to go back and start digging again. The door is nothing short of spectacular. It's 6.5 feet tall and is made of solid stone. The door is also decorated with images of Assyrian archers. Michael Dante from the University of Pennsylvania says the door survived the Babylonian siege over 2,000 years ago. It then became buried along with the palace and somehow survived the destruction that was carried out by ISIS. It was shocking to find under the dirt and rubble of Nimrud a real palace door the mighty kings of Mesopotamia used to walk through. It makes you wonder how many kings' hands touched this slab of stone in the past. Thanks for watching! Which of these places would you like to explore? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you later. Bye!